And we're live. Welcome to another edition of What Are You Laughing At?
And we're live.
Yeah, we are live. We're not live.
This isn't live, this is a recording.
Okay, let me start again.
Okay.
Welcome to... Stop laughing. You ready? You're good? Welcome to another edition of Sounding Board. Without wishing to age the podcast, Happy New Year!
It's 2020.
Finally, after the amount of stuff that's happened in 2019, it seems almost like a decade in itself.
Yeah, well, 2019 or the previous 3.5 years since the EU referendum, a lot of stuff's happened, but it feels like everything's just calmed down a little bit.
Yeah. No, I feel that I can relax a bit. Had a bit of
World
time
War Three and all
Christmas.
that, but that's all done and dusted now as well, isn't it?
What was that? Sorry.
World War Three.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Anyway,
So,
enough catastrophising.
Yeah, sorry. So the only thing I kind of wanted to talk about today was, basically over Christmas I've been watching a lot more TV. Got more time and long evenings and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know about you, but I watch way more stuff. It's almost exclusively streaming services now, whether it's for films. I still buy the odd DVD and stuff like that, but certainly series. It's all about Amazon Prime and Netflix and Now TV and stuff like that. Albeit I kind of got forced to watch some BBC stuff, which I think I've said this another time. I'm done with it. The problem being that kids love watching the kids shows and stuff, so I can't cancel my forced TV subscription yet. But been watching some stuff on Netflix and on the BBC, and then watching some films and things.
You know, we're at risk of turning into the London Calling podcast at the moment, not just because we're talking about TV.
Yeah.
But this is where I've mentioned that I haven't been watching as much TV because my wife's a BAFTA judge, and we get all the BAFTA movies the same way. So I've just been watching movie after movie.
Yes. So
when
when are the BAFTAs?
they're soon now. The first round of voting, I think, ended at the end of December,
Right.
which is a bit earlier than previous years.
Okay. And we've just had the Golden Globes,
We have.
which might come back to in a bit. I don't want to give the standard praise for Gervais, but albeit I have watched that 7-minute clip of him at least 4 times now, just because it's so funny.
Exceptional. The best part is the reactions to it. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some good gags in there, some genuinely good gags. The whole style of it is brilliant. But anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about.
I'm just gonna quickly take these off as well.
I was just going to say, you keeping them on or not?
No,
your Joe Rogan.
My Joe Rogan headphones. Well, I wanted some to get the levels right and wanted some proper headphones. So I looked up. I thought, what does Joe Rogan use?
Yeah.
And I got some of those for Christmas from my wife. So
Christmas present, very good. So the first thing I want to talk about is The Witcher. Okay.
Haven't watched it. I've played the games, or the very first game.
I only ever knew it as a game, although I never actually played it. But I knew the style, the world of this. Never read any of the books. Didn't realise it was based on some short stories and some books.
Yeah, Polish author. Andrzej something or other.
Sapkowski. So I've now in fact bought on Kindle the first set of stories.
Right.
And I've just started reading it, but only because I really like the series. Now there's a proper danger there, I think, of because I watched the series first, I might not like the books as much, or I might go, hang on a minute, they didn't put that in the series, or vice versa, and all of that. So there's a danger there, and I think there's a danger of reading too much for wanting to enjoy the second series, if there's a second series. Classic, what do you read first or consume first? But The Witcher. Now, I have, because there's so much TV now, there's so much choice, and there's so much tat, isn't there? I mean, there's an awful lot of rubbish. I have various tests, I have various thresholds you've got to get past. I mean, not least of which is obviously just flicking through on Netflix and going, "I'm not going to watch that," and oh, that's an awful title, or what, that's the description you're giving it, really. But I have my 10-minute, 15-minute test. I have my half-hour test. I have my first episode test of just binning things very, very quickly. 10 minutes, not captivated, don't like it, no, not willing to give it another go, off it goes, that's it. And there's very few series that I've broken my own rules with and gone back to. Albeit that's the thing, sometimes I have watched like an episode of something, not enjoyed it, not going back to it, and then I'll just play on my mind a bit, and then I'll maybe go back and watch an episode.
I know you keep trying to get me to watch the American House of Cards.
Yes!
But I watched 5 or 6 episodes of that, and it didn't grab me within 5
then
or
it
6
gets
episodes.
The first...
You talk about 15-minute...
But that's a dip.
Age.
That's a dip. The first few episodes are good, and the next few episodes are a bit bad, and then it really picks up again. And again, your problem is you are clouded by the UK version.
Which was exceptional.
Yes, and of its time, and of the UK. This is a different system. It's the US political system, and it's Kevin Spacey.
Have we now that he's settled everything, or that his accusers have mysteriously passed away, are we allowed to talk about Kevin Spacey again? Is he off the hook?
I have no idea, but as far as I'm concerned, it's innocent until proven guilty, unless you die in a freak car accident first. But I've got no idea. Weinstein's in court now, isn't he, on his Zimmer frame and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I watched The Witcher. I had a little inkling within the first 10 or 15 minutes that I wasn't going to like it. And my woke radar, this is what it is now. I'm hypersensitive to it, and it's that danger of am I not going to like this because of some stupid diversity quota or something, or is it? Yeah, but you've got to recognise this is science fiction. This is fantasy. This is a fantasy world. So I think you can apply different rules to these things.
You've got to kind of suspend disbelief a little bit, haven't you, with all these?
And we'll come back to that theme of suspending disbelief to some of the other stuff I want to talk about later. But there was a female character very early on that I thought, hang on a minute, she's got a bigger part than they're letting on here. Is this the main female lead of this series? Because if so, I'm not interested, because she's awful. She's just it's not even not a very good character. She's just not a very good actress. Are we allowed to say actress, or are they all actors?
They're all actors until the Golden Globes or the Oscars, and then they're quite happy to be called actresses,
right, okay,
to win awards.
Okay, and I remember turning to my wife and saying, she is awful. She is awful. If this is what we have, if this is all about, and there's a couple of ways of looking at this. If this is all about Henry Cavill being this proper masculine, strong male lead, and they're going to make all of the women like this, then I'm not interested. I mean, that's I don't know if that's me being woke or that, but I want to see good female characters. I want to see good all characters. It quickly moved on. Even though she turned out she was a central character for the episode, but not for the series. But it quickly moved on to another character, a girl. She must have only been like 10 or 11 or something, who was exceptionally good at her character. That it was like night and day watching it. Moving on to this scene where suddenly this 30-something woman is being out-acted by a 10-year-old girl, and you're going, and I turned back and I was like, that's acting. That there, her character. That's how you portray it. It's just bad acting, and it's probably bad script as well, but bad acting. So I kept going, and then about 2/3 of the way through the episode, there's a speech that the witch gives, and I'm enjoying it. But then suddenly his moral code comes out, and it's all because this mage, this wizard, wants to get him to kill the aforementioned female character that I've mentioned, because in his eyes she's a monster, and the Witcher kills monsters, and he says, no, yeah, this is a human monster, but she's a monster, and he starts going on about the lesser evil, and how this is important because this is the lesser evil, the greater good, the lesser evil, and the Witcher. stoic and stern and all this. And he comes on. I'm gonna read you the quote, and I've looked it up, and actually,
is it from the book?
It's a truncated quote from the book. There's a couple of extra sentences that don't change the meaning at all. They've just shortened it a bit. But he says, "Evil is evil. Lesser, greater, middling, makes no difference. If I'm to choose between one evil and another, I'd rather not choose at all." And that's exactly, and he stops off. And it instantly made me thought of you and voting.
Well, yeah, so I'm going to remember that the next time somebody asks me, why don't you vote in general elections? I can just quote that.
This is the Geralt of Rivia methodology. And so...
That's brilliant.
Yeah, and so I've been hooked on it, and we watched it. We totally binge watched it. We watched the whole series in less than a week, a few episodes a night, and it's fantastic. And a strong female lead does appear, and in fact has it's a really interesting set of timelines that go through. You don't realise that you're watching different timelines until about halfway through, and you start going, wait a minute. And this is one of the clevernesses of it. It is well written because it doesn't. There are obvious cinematic devices that are used to make people know that you're jumping around in time. And they can be subtle, but they are definite. And this doesn't have any of them. There are no clues at all that you might be jumping between timelines. And then suddenly you go, how can they be there? That hasn't happened yet, or whatever. And so it's very clever. And the main female character, Yennefer, I haven't got the actress's name. She's excellent. The actress is brilliant. Well, I don't want to give away any the plot, but she has to play essentially a changing role throughout this, because it's set for her. It's set over quite a period of time, and she's a mage, and she's brilliant. So it's got a great two leading roles as their stories intertwine throughout this, and as the main story picks up, the bad guys are the commies. And again, it's like I'm just watching this going, this is sounding an awful lot like communism. And there's someone who kind of goes behind enemy lines a bit, and it's talking about how everything's the same. There's one type of beer and it's rubbish, and the food is awful, but everyone's equal, and all this kind of stuff.
So what do you say the author's name? Andrzej Sapkowski.
Sapkowski.
So
apologies if I'm not pronouncing that right.
Yeah, no. So he's Polish, I believe.
Yeah.
So he probably lived through communism,
Exactly.
which is why he hates it.
But the evil, the baddies in this are the commies. I've no doubt about it.
It makes a change, because in most TV series these days, the bad guys are the fascists, aren't they?
Yes.
Not that there's anything wrong with having bad guys as fascists, but it would be nice if some of the evil that was communism was seen to be the bad guys as well. You have to go back, probably 20 or 30 years to when we were kids.
Like Cold War, end of Cold War time.
Yeah, so movies and TV around the Cold War, you had the commies were the bad guys. But these days, you don't really see too much of it.
Yeah.
So Geralt is a libertarian, is he, in this?
He is. He is. And so there's a flashback later for when he's a kid, before he's made a Witcher, which is they're like mutants, but they've been forced by magic or whatever. They're not natural. And there's this scene with his mum, where she says, "Live and let live." That's the phrase, "live and let live," and it sticks with him. And that's libertarianism in a nutshell.
Libertarian catchphrase, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's really good. I thoroughly recommend it, and I can't wait for the next series. And to say that it was I didn't actually watch this first, but I wanted to talk about that because I just really enjoyed it. I watched His Dark Materials on the BBC.
Right, I've heard nothing but bad things about that.
Yeah, it's just not very good. It's not very good for all sorts of reasons. I've written down some notes here, but and I've there's the usual criticisms of, and I struggle with this one a bit because again it's a fantasy world, and I haven't read the books, so I'm not I'm not analysing this based on the difference between the book and there was a film, The Northern Lights, or whatever, which didn't do very well, but there's a lot of black actors playing parts in this, and I've seen criticism of that. As someone who hasn't read the books, none of that particularly feels out of kilter. There's this group, I'm going to call them a group at this point, called the Egyptians, not Egyptians. It's spelt literally everything but the E. It's Egyptians, and they're in the books and everything, and they live on the water. They're like on their longboats and stuff, riverboats. And my understanding is that they're a bit like they're the gypsies of the water. They're like Romanis, and so they are kind of like they are a race. They are a homogenous group. In the BBC series, they are a proper ragtag bunch of everyone's. I mean, they tick as many boxes as they possibly can. They've got people of different races, different. They got the disabled characters. They've got all sorts, old and young, and it makes it look like it's a group that you can just kind of leave and join willy-nilly. In fact, there's like mixed race families and stuff that make no sense and stuff as well. It's all a bit weird, and so
it just seemed a bit artificial.
It seemed a bit artificial. It seemed a bit odd, and again, in this particular retelling, kind of get away with it, but the acting is awful. Actually they've got this. I don't know the actor's name. It's black actor playing the leader of the Egyptians. And then there's another guy who plays another character who is a guy you'd recognise, been in everything, old guy, big beard, been in everything. He's far better actor, but he's playing this lesser part in this than the other guy is. So it's just some bad choices of actor, I think. James McAvoy is the kind of the headline grabbing lead role, but he's only in like the first and last episode. By the time you get round to the last episode, because I was made to watch all of this, and it was that kind of get halfway through, so I might as well watch all of this now. My wife wanted to watch it because she wanted to know whether it was going to get any better, which it didn't, and she acknowledged that. As soon as McAvoy comes back on the screen again, the last episode, it's like, this is what acting is. This is suddenly you a scene with him in, and you go, oh, I'm paying attention now. I didn't notice, I didn't notice that I'm enjoying his scenes now compared to these other ones. But it's just so BBC. I'm turning BBC into this term now. It's like an episode of Doctor Who. It's just poor. Ruth Wilson plays the lead female character, Mrs. Coulter, who is evil, and it's I don't know if you know the story. It's this girl's mother, but she's evil, and they just can't help themselves to point out that she's evil. And I don't mean in her actions, no. I mean in the cinematography, in the direction. It's only about reminding you every bloody scene she's in that she's evil. Camera swooping down over her shoulder, silhouette in black, her basically going to the camera with a big evil grin. It's a proper lazy person's way of telling the story, and
you don't sound too impressed.
I'm not at all. There's other things they had. This is going to sound absurd. The polar bear voices. I mean, it's got polar bears in. It's got bears, and I mean everyone in this world has got their own. They're like spirits. Their soul is in an animal, and they can talk to them and all this kind of stuff. And so everyone's got like a different animal character around with them, and they occasionally play part of it. But the polar bears are a separate thing, and they don't have their own extra one, and they don't have a human. But a polar bear, like, I'm not being funny, but I wouldn't pick you or I to voice a polar bear.
No,
okay, Brian Blessed, exactly. And the main bear character, you're just hearing this thing on the screen, and the animation's amazing, but you're just not believing it. You'd
have Brian Blessed or James L. Jones or Vin Diesel or your big booming
or
voices.
Who's the guy who plays the one in Thor with the big sword who controls the Bifrost.
Yeah.
What's his name? He's in everything now.
Thor.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, it's about the voice. It's about the voice. And so it was slow. It was a bit boring. And as soon as I turned on The Witcher, it's just like again night and day in the quality of this. And this was a big budget BBC thing, but it wasn't very good, and it wasn't very good for all sorts of reasons. And then the last thing I want to talk about is a film. And it's a film, Mary Queen of Scots. Okay. Now I love this period of history. I think it's fascinating. I've not seen this film. This is Saoirse Ronan. Is it Saoirse Ronan? And sure. Margot Robbie. Good actresses. I've got no issue with any of the acting in this. This was good people.
I don't know the first one. Margot Robbie.
She's excellent.
So she was the only good thing in that awful superhero film where she played Harley Quinn, Suicide Squad.
Oh, I've not seen that.
Diabolic. She's great in it.
Right.
The rest of the film is diabolic.
She's incredibly pretty, and she takes on often, kind of ugly characters. She takes on characters where she's deliberately not. I mean, she plays the beautiful ones as well, but she's not afraid. And she plays Elizabeth in this.
But she's great
with the pox and everything. And she goes to town.
She's great in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is another.
I've not seen that.
Another bad film.
Another epic.
But she's great in that. That's a really good film.
But yeah. So
just very very good actor aside from her looks.
Exactly. And this is about more Mary Queen of Scots, played by Saoirse. I love that name, by the way, Saoirse. Great name. Can't spell it for the life of me.
Reminds me of Willow.
Yes. Yeah. That's the first time I ever heard that name.
Yeah.
With the kind of, she's bad guy, but then she's not really. She just turns or something in that. Yeah. But good acting, good cast choices, all of that kind of stuff. It's a bit slow. It's a bit boring. It's got Guy Pearce in it. It's got David Tennant in it. It's got some people in it. But the thing that stood out for me.
Guy Pearce is a great actor. He's an
excellent actor. I've always liked him.
Since I liked him in Neighbours. Yeah. When he was playing Mike.
Yeah.
That's 30 odd years ago.
But this is where I'm going to go all woke police on them now. Okay, because I didn't make a note of her name. Elizabeth's lady in waiting, her main head lady in waiting, is Gemma Chan, and she's and she's from the Far East. She's Gemma Chan was born in the UK, but this is an Asian character 500 years ago in the court of Elizabeth, and I've done a bit of research. I can find absolutely no evidence. I mean, this person absolutely wasn't. This is a person you will find in the historical record. She wasn't. But this isn't like, oh well, these obviously these people existed, but this was far away. This is not something that not people you'd have in the UK. But the other one is I've not made a note of the actor's name, I'm afraid. But a black actor playing Elizabeth's ambassador to Scotland, and he wasn't black, and he also wasn't. I mean, this is the thing. There's plenty of evidence of black people being in the UK, albeit they're in tapestries and things. There's the odd reference to black noblemen even. Okay, so I'm not saying this wasn't something that was possible in that sense. And I'm not just saying here that they should all be erased from it. And there's a couple of black characters in the background and whatever. That's where it should have stuck to. The hint of nobleman. This guy was like third generation Brit in this. Because, he is. The actual actor is. And it's like, but it wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened like this. And it didn't. This character wasn't that. And I feel it means that you can't suspend disbelief to get the story. I mean, there's other stuff. I mean, there's stuff
We're not
in
really
here.
supposed to suspend disbelief in historical.
And this is where, and
TV shows.
I get that you can have interpretation. I get that you can have. There is a license to tell the story, albeit so Mary Queen of Scots' second husband, Darnley, is it? I think. Let me get the name. Yes, Darnley. Darnley and her principal private secretary are gay in this, when there's absolutely no evidence of it at all. And I kind of get the whole, take the story in a slightly different direction stuff, but I don't feel it particularly needed it. And Rivia, I think was this Italian character who was the private secretary. He was made into this this effeminate, handsome, effeminate character that basically wanted to be a lady in waiting, and so she kind of made him a lady in waiting. And so you've got this weird thing going on, which made it a bit larger than life. And I suppose I get artistic license and stuff, but it's period drama, isn't it? It's a period film. Don't you want it to be historically accurate?
I guess so. I guess what I don't like is when they take actual characters and change them.
Yes.
So if somebody wanted to write a period drama, but have their own characters that were just completely created and it was complete fiction, I wouldn't
what you like.
necessarily have a problem with that. It's when they take historical characters, and so the example that springs to mind of this is in the film Titanic.
Yes.
So the characters in that were based on people on the Titanic.
Yes.
So the bad guy in that was based on a guy who was on the Titanic, and it just made him into an evil character,
right?
Which didn't really please that guy's relatives and family.
I bet.
They just took someone who they knew was on there and then just made him evil. So it's that kind of thing I don't really agree with. So
this guy, I've just been looking up. David Rivia is this Italian character, and this has got nothing to do with the being gay or anything thing in here. Albeit that there is no evidence I can see from my basic research that he was or that Darnley was. But it's the fact that contemporary accounts describe him as ugly, short, and hunchbacked. That doesn't fit with this kind of gorgeous hunk of a man who's also effeminate and wants to be a lady in waiting. It's like it didn't fit, and I don't get why that's what you do. They also, Mary and Elizabeth, meet in the film. They never met, and so I suppose my point is for that is when you want to do a different take on it, I think you've got to do it. You've got to kind of do it a bit all guns blazing. Have you seen Inglourious Bastards?
That was the example I was going to give because
they kill Hitler in that.
Yeah, and I remember coming to that scene and thinking, how are they going to get out of this one now? Doesn't matter. Let's just
cut him down. and then, but it's only at that moment that you go, I get it now. I get the whole film now. It doesn't matter.
Without wishing to give the game away, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
right,
is like that as well.
Really?
So you remember thinking...
Is that Tarantino?
It is, yeah.
Okay,
thinking,
right.
Where is this going? What's going on here? What's the, how they're going to...
Yeah.
Because you have an idea of what it's going to be about because of the characters that are in it, and you know what happens to the characters in real life. So you're thinking, how are they going to deal with this?
Yeah.
And Tarantino just does his normal thing. Is I'm going to do whatever the hell I like with this.
Yeah. Now you see, I had my little bit of a rant with my wife about this. Changing the characters and having a black actor play the character and everything, and we got to talk about stage plays and things and how actually it matters less in a stage play, but because you're there, you can see it's fake. You can see the edge of the set. None of it matters as much when you're playing these characters because you are going into this deliberately constructed world. When you're watching something on the TV that's cost millions of dollars to create, and they've got every little nuance right about the sound and the look and the whatever, you don't have that. There's a realism that's built into it that means you shouldn't have to suspend your disbelief in whether or not the character was black or not. And that's the thing that I don't get. To me that's sci-fi. That's the. And so The Witcher's got black characters and stuff in it, you can explain it away in other ways because it's a fantasy land.
Well, do they make a thing about it though? That's often the point. Isn't it?
They don't.
Just have any actor because they're a good actor and they fit the role. And
Yeah.
They don't make a thing about it. Then.
But I tell you what gets this right. Game of Thrones. You've not watched,
No,
I don't think, the Game
no.
of Thrones. But it's very similar to The Witcher in that regard. This is a kind of slightly medieval fantasy land with some magic in, and it's literally a different world, different continents and lands and people and places, and they don't just pepper pot all the characters with black actors. When someone's from a particular land, the people are as ethnically diverse basically as that is, and so you just don't question it. It just works. So you can do it. You don't have to be forced down this road. But my biggest problem with taking a period drama, a period film like that, which should be of the period, of the historical period, and certainly with doing it to ethnic groups, Asians, black people, whatever, is that you do have to suspend your disbelief, and you have to kind of apply modern day rules to it.
Well, I think that's what they're doing, isn't it? They're trying to get if for example there are a certain percentage of a certain ethnicity
exactly
today, but there weren't 1,000 years ago. They want today's percentage back
and I
then.
disagree with that entirely, but I think it airbrushes the genuine struggle that these groups of people had to get the status they have today. It's like it never happened. It never happened in the Elizabethan time. This guy was black and no one batted an eyelid. And it's like, that didn't happen. And these groups of people had to struggle and fight for the equality they have today. And to pretend it didn't happen, I think that's the most offensive bit of it.
So the people who, your people on Twitter and Tumblr and Facebook and stuff who love all this stuff and campaign for it, they don't always like what they need to be careful what they wish for, because it's been happening a bit more in computer games as well.
Right.
So, particularly historical computer games. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but there was like a bit of a campaign because there were complaints about, I think it might have been one of the Call of Duties that was set in, I think, World War II, and they were complaining about the diversity in the characters.
Right.
And it's like, well, hang on a second.
It was World War II.
This was or it might have even been World War One.
Yeah.
It's like, well, hang on. You're going to see the majority of these soldiers are going to be young white men because they're British soldiers, and that's just the way it was.
They were.
And then in another game, they made it so that, particularly on the online game, you could be anyone you wanted. So you could just kind of create yourself a character, and you could go in the trenches and fight or whatever. And they started complaining about that because this guy was. I read an article about this guy who was writing about his bad experience because he had to go online and he had to shoot black women in the face and he didn't like it. And what do you want?
Yeah.
Maybe just don't play the game. Don't play the game. Just go away and sit in the corner and do something else. But yeah, they were complaining that this is wrong. It just feels wrong. shooting black women. But you wanted that.
I think I want to bring that full circle to Ricky Gervais and his joke about diversity. Do you remember that one on the Golden Globes?
I don't remember the
intro?
diversity. So I've only seen that 7-minute clip once. I mean, it's exceptional.
Okay.
I've only
So
seen it once.
he says, I'm paraphrasing, and the thing about his script is that obviously he honed it. He honed it so that there's no extraneous words, there's no nothing. It just says the gag and gets on with it, and he delivers it to perfection. Was going to do an in memoriam section, but I looked at it and there's just too many white guys. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring it. Not on my watch. And then he goes, "This is the clever bit. This is the clever bit. Maybe next year we can hope, can't we?" And like that to me was probably the cleverest gag in the entire monologue. Is that basically you want me to hope that more black, Asian, and female people die in order that the balance is struck with the in memoriam next year, and that's funny. That's very funny.
Very clever.
But that's my woke radar experiences.
So at least there was one libertarian.
It's so rare. You don't get libertarian characters. The Witcher is brilliant because of that.
The only ones I can really think of are actually Marvel characters. So Captain America, he's probably the only example, particularly in the Winter Soldier. He's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, where there's
very much against all the government surveillance and all that.
Surveillance, and he just wants to tear it down, and you know, he said, "Well, we've become as bad as they are."
Yes.
So that's a really,
I watched that again actually very recently, only because of that.
There's another. So in Iron Man 2, and there's a bit in Iron Man 2 where I think they're trying to make him out to be bad. Because
what are you talking about now then?
So there's a bit where he kind of comes on stage and he's kind of giving his speech. He's got this big kind of conference and this event.
Yeah.
And I think they're trying to make him look bad, to make you kind of feel a bit sorry for Mickey Rourke's character and to kind of empathise with him.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's after him and they're trying to make Iron Man look bad. And he gives a speech about privatising world peace.
Oh, yes.
And I remember thinking, that's fantastic. He's just gone up in my... I think they're just trying to make him into like an evil privateer, you know, like an evil greedy capitalist. But
whereas actually that's
thinking,
what...
Fantastic. Of course you want to privatise world peace. You know, that's the best. I don't want the governments in charge of these weapons. I want,
absolutely,
beings.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there's that, and obviously the Captain America.
Yeah, I've heard that the Mandalorian, which is the latest Star Wars spin-off TV show, in fact, since some old cartoons, this is the only Star Wars spin-off TV show. And that's coming to Disney Plus. It's out in America, so there's been all these Baby Yoda memes. And
Baby Yoda is exceptional.
I can't wait for it because of that. They've done incredibly well to come up with a character like that everyone's just instantly fallen in love with and memed to death. But I hear rumours that Mandalorian is a libertarian as well.
Right.
So there's a reason for getting Disney Plus in March when it comes out. Just to watch that series.
Well, I remember thinking, what else are they going to do? Are they going to go back and have like a Baby Jabba the Hutt?
Little slug.
This little slug thing. That would be hilarious.
They should totally do that now. Yeah.
But it's similar to it's like there's films with Baby Groot.
The Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. So that getting a character and then kind of going back and making them as young kids is a good idea.
Yeah.
Baby Yoda is such a cute little thing. Fiddling with the switch.
Oh, that scene! If anyone hasn't seen this thing yet, it's I love the different bits of music that have been put to it. I mean, the original scene doesn't have any music in it
whatsoever.
whatsoever.
No, I've seen the original scene, but Toto Africa is my favourite.
Yeah. And it's like the Mandalorian wants to listen to like hip hop or something, and then Baby Yoda just keeps going. But it's that moment he kind of goes. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to that. And that really ends my film and TV review version of Sounding Board, which it was the woke angle stuff that I wanted to talk about. It wasn't just about what's good and what's not, but having a libertarian character in something is rare.
Yeah, so
having communism is bad. I just want to pick up on some of these points because I think that it doesn't do anyone it does people a disservice to rewrite history, and that's what I don't like.
Well, I didn't know you were going to talk about this. I knew you wanted to talk about TV.
Yeah.
I didn't know what TV shows you wanted to talk about. So I had an idea that you were just going to rant at me for 30 minutes or so. But I'm glad that you found this TV show that has characters that you can like and a script that you can like, because that's rare. To try. I can't think of any really true libertarian characters. I mean, so even characters like in one of my favourite films, V for Vendetta.
Yeah.
V in that, he's not a good character.
No.
He kidnaps and he's
it's one of the reasons I'm not
he's an anti-hero. I mean, he's I love the film still.
Yeah.
But he's not. I know I wear the mask sometimes, but he's not a particularly good guy.
Yeah.
He's another kind of ends justifies the means.
That's why I don't like it as much as you. Because of his character. If his character was pure, then maybe I would a bit more.
But it's really difficult to think of another. I mean, so in the Star Wars films, I did like Han Solo because he was a smuggler.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of getting around. He was a rebel. He was getting around authority.
Yeah.
And I remember kind of being explained when I was a kid that smuggling was bad. And I'm thinking, what do you mean it's bad?
Han Solo can't be bad.
No, but just the whole thing of they're kind of they're sneaking stuff in and they're not paying taxes. I'm like, that's good, surely. So I remember liking Han Solo because he was a bit of a libertarianish rogue, lovable rogue. But there aren't many libertarian characters I can think of.
No, we've named a very small handful.
At all. Yeah. Even the ones like Captain America, he still works for the state effectively, and he's not.
His story arc allows him to break out of that to a degree.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to take people out unnecessarily.
No.
Not like you pushed in every other type of show. I mean, going back to the quote from Geralt in The Witcher, the concept of the lesser of two evils, of the greater good, is pushed everywhere. It's pushed absolutely everywhere in every TV show, in every walk of life. You're constantly told you have to choose between the lesser of two evils.
Well, it's not that you have to. It's you're encouraged to always think of the greater good, which is just an excuse to do another bad thing.
Yeah.
And of course,
always pick the least worst.
But the worst thing about it is that the greater the perceived good is going to be, the greater the evil you are allowed to do in pursuit of this good.
Yeah.
So the greater the potential good, and of course none of it ever happens, the worse you can be.
Yeah, perceived potential good is the important
point. It's not the great. It's the greater good intention, isn't it? It's because nobody knows what the outcome of these things are. So, well, I think this good thing may happen, therefore that excuses me from doing this evil thing that I know is going to be evil.
That's a really important point, actually, and I think that saying for the greater good intention, that's what it is. You're absolutely right.
Well, so this is, and we're kind of going back to classic sounding board now. We're kind of going back into politics and that kind of thing. And I notice this with the left in particular, is that they always want to be judged on their intentions. Never, and I don't particularly like right wingers either, but at least they tend to be more inclined to look at outcomes.
Yes.
And look at historical and empirical evidence and to see what actually works.
Oh, they're much more evidence based.
Whereas the left are just, I think this will be a good idea, therefore we should do it. It doesn't matter if it's been tried 20 times in the past and it's always failed.
Yeah.
No, we must persist with this because we mean well. It doesn't matter how many people are put in abject poverty or starve
or die
or whatever or thrown in the gulag. We need to persist with this.
Yeah.
And that's the left all over.
Yeah.
It's all about they always want to be judged on their intentions. Real socialism has never been tried. We want to do this because we're doing this for the poor. We're doing this for the sick or the elderly or the workers or the unemployed. Okay, so what's actually going to happen if you do this? Look at somewhere else in the world that has implemented this policy and what's happened to the people you specifically are looking to target. They're not interested. It's just all about intentions.
I think we spoke about this in another edition where I talked about...
Don't tell the listener.
They obviously need to go back and re-listen to every other one of this. I think I spoke about Cold War film and books and TV and stuff, and then said that what we've got now... this might have been when we talked about the fall of the Berlin Wall, the anniversary, and then said that what we've had since 2001 is a terrorism narrative. And so everything's been focused on defeating the terrorists. I'm not sure we made the point, and I'm going to make it now, which is that the defeating the terrorists stuff has a very much greater good, least worst thing to it, doesn't it? We just need to take these guys out in order to try and prevent these other deaths or whatever. But it's my license to do bad things, to surveil and to curb freedoms of everyone in order to try and catch the bad guys.
Yeah, not mentioning blowing up an area that innocent civilians are going to be in, but you need to take out the terrorist.
Yes.
That kind of thing.
And that was normalised in the last 20 years, wasn't it? And that, I think, has played a part, whether it was conscious or not, in the minds of the people making this stuff.
And also, you know,
in this rise of communist thinking.
Yeah, and holding people without charge, torturing them to get evidence out.
Yes. The Jack Bauer style of gaining evidence. Evidence. And it's like, I know I cut his head off, but come on, we stopped the bomb. That's what it is, isn't it? That's what we watched on TV, compared to the Soviets were the bad guys. And the Soviets were the bad guys because communism was bad. And it wasn't really anything ever more complicated than that, was it? In those films and TV series and books.
No, not really.
Well, if anything, in the book, really Tom Clancy, and he very much described why communism was bad. And characters from Russia and Lithuania and whatever would describe the reasons and their backstory about it being bad and the Gulag and all that kind of stuff.
You only have to read, John le Carré and some of his novels as well.
Absolutely. Definitely. So that's all I've got.
Okay. Should we end it there?
I think we should.
Thank you for watching and listening to another edition of Sounding Board. You can go to the web, soundingboard.com, and everything is there. You can go to YouTube, search for Sounding Board on YouTube.
Please subscribe, share, rate, review.
iTunes, Google
Podbean.
Play, is it? Google
Podcasts.
Google Podcasts, Podbean, Player FM, Stitcher, and
Spotify.
Spotify we're on now.
We're now on Spotify, so find us in all these places. And if you like us, share us, tweet about us, all this kind of stuff.
See you again next time.